Welcome to another episode of the PropLinq AI podcast, where we speak to founders and property professionals driving real innovation in how real estate gets done. I'm Stuart Quintal, and today we're going behind the scenes with someone who's been seen both sides of the UK agency game, the corporate high street and the self-employed model, and he made the leap toward a more modern, nimble way of working. Joining me is Chris Lang, an experienced estate agent who's now part of the nested.com platform, helping homeowners in the UK move smarter with a tech-enabled agent-first approach. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hello, hi Stuart, thanks for having me.
Now, Chris, you've been in the property world for probably a little over 20 years. Tell us a bit about your background.
Yeah, so I kind of really almost fell into it. I'd always had an interest in property, even sort of going through school. And when I was 16, sort of going through college, a very close family friend of ours had an estate agency business in Beckenham in the southeast. So I just started working with him on weekends, just helping answering the phones, do the odd viewings, leaflet dropping, that sort of stuff. And yeah, it kind of went from there. I got into university, but decided it wasn't for me. And then went into working my first agency job at 18 as a trainee negotiator. And yeah, just kind of went from there, really.
Now, over that time period, what have been the biggest changes or even lack thereof in how the industry operates?
Yeah, so I think as we've said before, I mean, frustratingly, I actually think not a huge amount has changed since I started in agency over 20 years ago, probably 23 years ago now. And if you think about it, a lot of high street agents, all they're still really doing is taking photos, putting it on Rightmove and the other portals and waiting for the phone to ring. Yes, I suppose back then you did get a lot more people walking into an office. And it used to be the hottest buyers were actually the ones that used to walk in and sit down in front of you and register. That has changed now. And I would say, I believe it's something like 95% of inquiries now all start online. And it used to be the case when I was in the office that the people that walked into the high street offices were almost people that had no intention of buying. They were just looking for property details, being nosy neighbours, asking for directions. Yeah, the need for a high street office, in my view, is probably the biggest thing to change. But still, a lot of agents aren't embracing new technology like video tours, even simple things like WhatsApp, which I just think is crazy.
Yeah. And was that what sparked your decision to leave, say, the high street agency to being, your own agency owner?
Yeah, I think it was one of the reasons. I think the core fundamental is I just got tired of working for someone else. Better, work balance life, even though I'm probably working more hours than I ever did when I worked on the high street. But, at least it's for me and the family. But yeah, certainly one of the biggest reasons I left was I kept coming up with ideas and suggestions for things that could be done. And it just kind of fell on deaf ears. And it was a bit like, well, we've been doing it this way for 20 odd years, and it's worked. So why do we need to change? And I just thought, well, you know what? I think I can bring something different to the table. So that's why I decided to make the leap.
Yep. Now, when you did make the leap, what was the biggest mindset shift or challenges in going out on your own?
I think the biggest challenge is obviously the financial side of things. You're going from earning a salary to really, well, not earning a salary at all. And the reality is with agency, when you first start up, you're probably not going to earn a salary for the first 6 to 9 months at least. So you have to back yourself. You have to believe that you can win the business. And if you believe that you can win business and you've got that financial security behind you, which I know is difficult for a lot of people, then you kind of got to go for it. And I knew I had to do it. Otherwise, I'd be sitting behind the desk working for someone else for the next 10, 20 years. And it's not what I wanted to do.
Now, working with Nested, has that shifted any of the support?
So for me, Nested have been brilliant. Um, they've supported me every step of the way. They offer a very good financial package to help new starters at the beginning, which was very, very useful. They've got an excellent marketing team, and everyone's very experienced. And if you've got a question, they're always happy to answer. And what I liked about Nested was, you have your own territory. So it's not like a lot of the other models where you could be working your territory, but there could be 5 or 6 other agents from the same platform also working that same territory. And for me, that didn't feel right. Whereas with Nested, you get your own territory. They set you up with all the tools you need, but obviously you need a lot of your own stamina to be able to go out there and win the business. That they obviously can't do for you, but everything else, they're there to help.
Yep. Now, speaking of go out there and win the business, I'd like to talk about some technology and whether it's a help or hindrance.
Yeah,
So you're someone who sees the value in tools like WhatsApp and social media, but I suspect also, like many agents, there's be cautious about replacing the personal side of agency. Why do you
yeah.
think many agents are slow to adopt even basic tools like WhatsApp or video tools?
Um, I think really it comes down to that a lot of agents still believe that the old-fashioned ways of having to pick up the phone and talk to someone are still the best ways. And look, I'm not going to say that that's incorrect. Sometimes you cannot beat an old-fashioned phone call. Picking up the phone, speaking to someone over the phone, or meeting face to face. Absolutely. We're not against that, and we certainly don't hide behind our phones all day. But the world has changed, and we're now in the generation of now and service. And a lot of people our age and our demographic, they're busy. They're working full-time jobs. They've got kids. They've got home life to juggle, and they haven't got time to be on the phone for 5-10 minutes. And sometimes a quick WhatsApp or a voice note can solve the problem. And don't get me wrong, we do have some clients that prefer to speak on the phone, and that's absolutely not a problem. But I would say 90% of our clients love the fact that we use WhatsApp and we have WhatsApp groups for all of our clients. And the feedback we get is it's just a much more straightforward and modern way of doing things. But I think a lot of agents are scared of change. I think a lot of these high street agents, they are used to doing things a certain way, and they're reluctant to deviate from that. And I think, yeah, and I think the proof is in the fact that if you look at the amount of new agency offices opening, there are very, very few. There are very, very few high street agencies opening now. And that's because experienced agents recognize that change is coming and there's no need for a high street office anymore. So, yeah.
What's like in from a day to day business practice? Like, what technologies do you use? Like you mentioned WhatsApp, obviously, but
Yeah.
what's being useful for you from a technology perspective?
So, WhatsApp is the number one, without a doubt. It's changed my business tenfold. Makes life a lot easier and more efficient. Social media, as you mentioned, we utilize canvassing platforms like Spectre, which has a lot of AI-driven technology to help canvass the right properties. And also just the simple things like ChatGPT, sort of helping develop schedules, content for social media, making us more efficient, really. Although I would say that there are probably a lot more things that we could be doing that we probably don't know exist, or we haven't been introduced to yet. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, one of one of your core beliefs when we spoke, and mine is as well. In terms of property, is that property is personal.
Hmm.
People buy from people. How do you strike that balance between, say, automation and personal connection?
So I think when it comes to, things like viewings, for example, and speaking to people on the phone, obviously that can't be automated. Well, yes, you can automate speaking to people on the phone, but it's not the same. And, I think it's important when someone's buying their most expensive asset, they want to talk. They want to talk to someone. They want to meet someone. They want to talk to someone who knows the area, knows the property, and people buy from people at the end of the day. So I think that cannot be replaced. But when it comes to admin, lead generation, that sort of thing, then yes, I think AI can be very useful.
Are you using a lot of AI in your processes, in your lead generation, your workflows?
I probably could utilize it a lot more. I think, if I'm honest, a lot of it scares me because I'm also part of that generation where we are going from the sort of older model of agency, and we're very much like in the new generation of this AI world. So it does scare me, but I'm always open to trying new methods and trying new things to help generate business and also provide clients with the best service possible. But I will never sacrifice service or client experience over automating a process. But
Yep.
if it means that it's providing a better service, then obviously it's something that I'm always open to. But yeah, could certainly be using it a lot more, I'm sure.
Now, I'd like to sort of circle back to running your business like a business. How do you plan your weeks? Are you handling everything from lead gen to valuation and follow up yourself?
Yeah. So myself and my wife run the business together. So my wife Francesca, she's got also a very very strong history in sales. I wanted to grow the business last year, and it just made sense for us to do that together. She often jokes that she's a better salesperson than me, so we'll see. But yeah, the way we kind of structure our week is we of course sit down most mornings and sort of discuss how the day is going. We go through all of our leads that come in through our database every morning. We go through all our feedback, and then the week kind of pans out from there. So yeah, I mean, probably the same as a lot of other agents, but
Yep.
we always try to be as flexible as possible with our appointments. And make the most of our time. But it depends on obviously how the week pans out with valuations and viewings and sales progression and everything else that comes with it.
Yep. So bringing on your wife to help you scale. What would help you to scale to the next step? Is it more support, better systems, more tech?
I think to scale, really, at the moment we're happy. We're good where we are at the moment. However, having said that, we we want to scale in the future, but we just need to make sure that we don't compromise on the level of service that we're giving at the moment.
Yep.
And then, if you're looking at scaling, it then means potentially taking on more staff, and then you lose that element of control and all the rest of it. So it's a fine line to balance at the moment. But I think the obvious way to scale in this business is taking on more property. And yes, I can imagine that AI and prop tech and all the rest of it will be a massive part of that, and it already is for me. A lot of my new instructions come from referrals, canvassing, door knocking, all of those, all the old-fashioned methods. But I think AI and prop tech will play a huge part in streamlining that process as the years come.
Now, A lot of my audience are people in the industry. What advice would you give agents thinking of going self-employed?
My advice would be is if you back yourself to win business, and you feel that you've got the financial stability for a good 6 to 9 months, then you've got nothing to lose. Well, you do have things to lose, but if you back yourself
It's
that
about
much,
backing
and
yourself, yeah.
if you know you will win the business, that's what it comes down to. Um, this business is, the core part of the business is taking on and listing property, pricing it at the right level, providing an excellent service to clients, and if you're confident enough to do that, then you'll succeed. Um, I think it's important to focus on an area that an area that you grew up in, and focus on a hyper local market. A lot of agents, when they first become self-employed, they're like, I want to take over the whole of the southeast, and I'm going to canvass all across London and all the rest of it. When in reality, you are much better focusing on a hyper local market, no more than really about 5 to 10,000 houses, and focus on that market. And then you will find that you will eventually start, expanding outwards naturally by taking on properties that, buyers who are viewing a property through you, they might have a property that needs selling, you take their one on, and so on and
Yep.
so forth. And then it snowballs. But yeah, that I would say is the sort of number one thing for me.
Now, you've mentioned some metrics already, like each day you look at the leads coming in, the feedback, those sorts of things. What are the metrics that you track from a business perspective? Say daily, weekly, monthly.
So I would say the obvious metrics is, the amount of sales that we're doing, but what we are constantly looking at is the number of inquiries that come in. It seems to be fluctuating almost daily at the moment. It's a a tricky market, and what we're saying to people is that it's not a terrible market, but it's not also a great market. But well priced, well marketed homes are selling, um, and that is key. But I think the most important metrics that we focus on are viewing numbers, and also valuation numbers, because quite simply, the more valuations that come in, the more you convert, the more you convert, the more you sell, the more you sell, the better, the better you're doing. Um, so they're really the two key metrics that we focus on, because if you focus on those two, then generally everything else should fall into place.
Okay. Now, if we zoom out a bit, sort of looking into the future, say 1 to 5 years time, where do you see the agency model going? Conversely, where do you see your business going
Yeah,
in that same
that
horizon?
yeah, that's an easy answer for me. I think the next 5 to 10 years, even sooner, I think the estate agency model will be changing hugely. I think we're going to be seeing a lot less high street agents. I always think there will be some element of high street estate agents, but where, for example, on some high streets you have 10, 11, 12 estate agents, I think that will whittle down easily to half that. And you'll find that the agents that are very well established will probably stick around. But I think a lot of experienced estate agents will be transitioning to the self-employed model,
Yep.
because life is changing. I think especially after COVID, people realised that a life-work balance is very, very important. And the one thing that used to frustrate me more than anything with working in a high street office was there was no flexibility. We could be sitting there some days. It could be a really, really quiet day in the middle of the summer holidays. We'd finished all our work by 10 o'clock, but we'd have to sit there till 6 o'clock, literally twiddling our thumbs because our boss tells us to, and because we've
Yep.
got to keep the office open. When in reality, if you've got a phone and an internet connection, you can do your business anywhere, and that is the reality. I think our business moving forward, well, obviously we want to expand. We want to grow, but we want to do it in the right way. We don't want to rush into it. It's touch wood. It's going in the right direction so far, but I've been doing this job for long enough to know that anything could happen, and we just got to try and, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. But I think we're at this moment we're building a good brand. We've got some very good reviews, and we want to keep building on that.
So, if I like to ask this question as well of business owners, if you had, say, a magic wand that could fix any particular problem, but like to focus on like one problem that you could fix with a magic wand, what would that be?
Again, this is very easy. The conveyancing process. The conveyancing process, in my view, is completely broken. It has been for decades, probably, and it baffles me that nothing has been done to try and fix it. Without getting political, which I won't, but they keep trying to make tweaks to stamp duty and bring in more revenue for the taxes and things like that. But my view is if the conveyancing process was more streamlined, it would prevent more fall throughs. Obviously, less fall throughs will lead to more stamp duty. It'll also lead to more VAT from estate agents, removal companies, furniture companies, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. The extra taxes that would be generated would be in the billions. And it baffles me that nothing has been done to try and streamline that process. And my hope is that AI will play a big role in streamlining that process. That's my big hope. And I know it's the hope of thousands of other estate agents out there. And I do know a lot of estate agents do get a bad rep, but also a lot of estate agents are the ones that are calling for change to happen, for the industry to be regulated, for the conveyancing process to change, because it just has to.
Yep. Okay. Well, Chris, look, really appreciate your honest take on the evolution of the real estate agency and how you're finding ways to modernise it without losing that human side of the deal. Service levels, the people buy from people, and that relationship sort of side of the business is one that hasn't sort of gone away. And I agree with you. I don't see that going away anytime soon. Where can people get in touch with you and also follow your work?
So we're on Instagram. So Instagram tag is Estate Agent Chris. Also through our website, so www.nested.com/Chislehurst. LinkedIn as well. WhatsApp. I'll obviously be posting this on Instagram, I'm sure, and LinkedIn. But yeah, we are contactable in all the ways you could imagine. Obviously, Google Nested Chislehurst. You'll see all of our reviews and our contact information. But yeah, would love to help anyone I can.
Thanks, Chris. Great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And if you're a real estate business, whether you're a solo agent or fast-growing brokerage or a property platform, and you're looking to rescue wasted leads, increase appointment rates, or scale your business using AI, that's exactly what we do at PropLinq AI.
Okay.
You can follow our show on Spotify, YouTube, or LinkedIn, and also join us at PropLinq.io to learn more. Until next time, thanks for listening. And thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right. There we go. How do you think it went?
You tell me. I've never done a podcast before, ever.
Really?
No. So
you must be the only real estate agent that hasn't done a podcast.
No, never done one. Never ever done one. So look, you tell me.
No, look, yeah, you went well. Like you didn't. Yeah, you knew. I mean, that's what sort of I like about this sort of podcast method is because you know your business. So the answers are always going to be, you're not trying to dig into research or dig into anecdote, something. It's your business, so I always find people are, if they haven't done one before, they can generally talk no problem for the 20, 25 minutes that I sort of get an opportunity with. So, no, it went well. It won't take long to edit this up, and I can share that with you.
Brilliant.
But you mentioned that you and your wife wanting to scale the business. Like, is that something I sort of look at how I help businesses scale and improve process and things like that. Would a conversation with you and maybe even your wife on uncovering what that scaling might look like, or what the problems you're trying to address, would that be
Yeah, I mean,
something you'd be open
without a
to?
doubt, something in the future, not at this stage, but no, without doubt in the future. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's something that I think AI does scare me a little bit, but I'm always open to new ideas and how it can help, and what how it might be able to sort of benefit us with lead generation and all the rest of it. I think something that we do need to look into now that our sort of database is becoming a lot fuller is making sure that we're utilizing that information and those contacts to try and win more business just from our database, rather than
Yep.
having to rely on new business coming through, because that's obviously probably the easiest way of doing it, but it's also one of the hardest because it involves trawling through your database and making calls, and but there's something working in the background to try and
Yeah.
generate those leads,
There's,
then
I mean, there's probably, like, if you're open for a discussion on that, like the lead reactivation or the database sort of reactivation, it's one thing that I look at with businesses, because sometimes it's a forgotten asset. Like, there's the 30 days, 90 days old database. Sometimes businesses don't look at it because the opportunity. I don't know. Like, I've seen it here with agents where they've run big campaigns to get new leads in, and then they just run the filtering against it and go, oh, half of those leads we already had. Um, Whereas they could have spent that money on, or not even spending all that money, like just reactivating some of their older leads and old database, and turning that into other opportunities. Like some of the areas that you can focus on with that is your case studies and your proof points, because if you haven't spoken to those leads in a long time, reactivating them on, it could be, if they're seller leads on valuation offers, or some of the case studies, sales results that you've had. That's obviously the classic way that
yeah.
to build up new business. But yeah, if you're open for a 20-minute conversation on uncovering a bit more around some of the metrics and data points, and then I can present to you some opportunities. Would you be open to that? Yeah.
Yes, it just all again.
Without scaring you, like, I'm not.
No. It's fine. Absolutely, and we are open to it. But it's also,
Yep.
I mean, because again, I don't know how much these things cost. Like, I've got no idea what these
Yep.
sorts of tools cost and what it entails.
Yeah, again, like it sort of comes down to, I guess, because I customize the solutions to the businesses.
Mm,
So it really sort of depends, like how you, and also from, I'm relatively new, so my pricing models are sort of quite flexible. Like, some agency owners that I speak to, like AI, marketing agency owners, they have their fixed, say, lead generation model plus the media spend, or they have a margin on top.
mm,
Um, Whereas I'm sort of a bit more flexible in terms of, it could be a cost per, activation as such, or a fixed retainer with a guarantee, sort of a KPI set in place. So if it doesn't reach a certain level, you're not paying for things you're not getting. Like,
okay.
I sort of I'm backing myself that I can deliver what KPIs are set. If not, I continue to work until those KPIs are achieved. as a sort of a guarantee.
Would you do something? Would you even do something like, for example? So, I'm guessing you know. Do you know of Get Agent?
No. But,
So Get Agent, the way it's quite clever, really. What they've done, they kind of capitalised on it before anyone really knew what it was, especially in agency. Anyway, they're all about search engine optimization. So, for example, if you put in estate agents in Chislehurst, Get Agent will be the top link, and if you pretty much do it anywhere across the country, they will be one of the top link or one of. And what it then encourages people to do is you then go through you go onto their website, you put in your information, you tell them what your house is, and then it will basically generate all these stats about the estate agents in your local area, and then it can push off an inquiry to those agents. The property comes on and it sells, we give them a percentage of our fee. Would you even do something like that?
I know that business model. Now that you've mentioned it, I know that business like find agent finder.
Yeah, very similar, I should imagine.
So you're paying an actual fee. Have you agreed to go on their platform or?
Yeah, so we've actually got a sponsorship. With them, which isn't much. It's about £90 a month. But then for that sponsorship, they sort of push our details out above everyone else. And every property that we sell through them, they take a percentage of our fee.
Yeah. So what is it that you like about the model, or what is it that you don't like?
It's not that I particularly like it or dislike it. It's just that rather than paying a retainer, would you be open to something like, if you're able to generate a lead from our database and it ends up converting and selling, we pay you a percentage of the fee.
Absolutely. If it's from your database, and so in terms of like the SEO perspective, like that's, I mean, I assume they're doing a lot of paid ads. Like when you search a real estate agent, it's the paid results that you're getting seen at the top, not the organic.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, because the organic they can't necessarily manipulate unless they're purely they can't really manipulate the organic results because Google will have a say in that. But the paid results, you can obviously do your own paid lead gen.
Yeah.
The organic results is whether you have an SEO strategy in place for your platform, or whether you're generating content from an SEO perspective as well across YouTube, blogging, articles, backlinks as well. They're always quite important. So that's one area you can look at from an organic perspective. The SEO should be there, so you do appear organically when people do search real estate agents. How do I actually say the area you're in? Chislehurst.
CHIS.
Yeah, Chislehurst. I mean, it's not a familiar name I've come across.
CHIS LEHURST. It's basically right on the borders of southeast London.
I mean, I looked it up, but Chislehurst. Yeah, I mean, it's like a classic British name.
Chislehurst.
Northumberland.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, this is what I'd sort of have this discussion with you around a discovery process, like 20, 30 minutes. I'll just ask lots of questions and then I can dive into some opportunities and sort of packages for you. But yeah, like a lead reactivation one, I could definitely sort of spin up a thing for. I sort of need to understand the database size, how old I guess it is, and then we can talk about some strategies to approach that data.
And obviously we're with Spectre as a database at the moment.
Yep.
So can you incorporate whatever you do with them? How does that work?
So Spectre is your CRM, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I plug into CRMs, or there'll be an endpoint that I can either either an endpoint of data where you can send that data somewhere. So many CRMs have endpoints you can connect other data tools to, or connect them to other tools and platforms. So just webhook or a HTTP request, like We just go through that from a technical setup, or I can just create a campaign specific like database where you feed a database into a, I'd spin up just a go high level CRM for you.
Right,
You
I see. Yeah.
upload, we just upload the data into that so that then it's all contained into a campaign specific thing that you own, and then once it's finished, it can be fed back into your CRM. So there's multiple ways to connect to existing CRMs. So I can connect to Salesforce, Zoho, Go High Level, HubSpot. They're all ways that
Okay.
I suspect Spectre as well would have those connections as well.
Well, look, I'm more than happy if you can come up with something, or if we can come up with a way that you charge us, we pay you a fee based on success, then I don't see. I think it's almost a no-brainer. So I'm happy to. I'm happy if you want to put something together, and we can look into it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I'm sort of going without knowing some of the information from your business, I guess. Like, if you've got time now, we can do.
I haven't got time now.
But
I haven't got time now.
Exactly. I sort of like to understand the metrics, like the data points, what you've tried, what you're spending today, because then it helps me model up a solution, but also then present you back the right opportunity, because I don't want to just sort of come up with something that I think could work and then it doesn't align to your goals and strategies. So that's why I'm sort of proposing like a discovery process. I ask a lot of questions. It's a bit of an interrogation on the metrics and the business objectives and those sorts of things, and then it's I can present back some opportunities for you.
I tell you what, why don't I know this is quite far in advance, because December is very, very quiet for us, as I'm sure you can imagine. Why don't we get something? Why don't we get something booked in for December to sort of have a proper chat, and then we can look at sort of something out if that works.
Why don't we do the chat earlier, and then you can plan. You can plan it for December. Like that's what I mean. Like if we're planning it for December, then activity might not happen till January. When I do understand. December's definitely slower it was in Australia, but we used to run a lot of campaigns in Australia. Let me say next week. You got 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
Next week.
Or even, could be a bit early this week. But
when Wednesday works next week.
Wednesday? Morning?
Could we say 11 o'clock?
Yeah, I can do 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. I'll send you an invite.
Perfect.
And it's really just me interrogating your business, what you've done, if you're paying a fee sort of thing, what are your fees paying, what's your cost per lead, whether you have any of that, the database size if you're wanting to do a reactivations side of the business. And then we can set up like what success looks like, what the KPIs might be. And then I can present back some opportunities for you.
Sounds good.
All right.
Lovely.
Chris,
all right.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Cheers,
and I'll share those videos for you as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. All the best.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Bye. Bye-bye.